What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel, the best place for youth, parents, and educators to learn about soft skills and education. Now, this is the 5th installment of the mini-series comparing public and private education in Ontario. And if you haven't seen the previous episodes, be sure to check it out in the cards above. Now, in previous episodes, we checked out the resources, educational philosophy, the educators, and the student population of public and private schools. Now, in this episode, we're going to compare the leadership of public and private education because leadership plays a huge role in determining educational outcomes. Now, for public schools, the leadership undergoes a similar system of checks and balances like the educators. There's a consistent salary system, consistent benefits, and consistent roles and responsibilities that are outlined within the school board. However, like any other system, if it's big, it tends to be clunky, slow, and bureaucratic. There's going to be a lot of red tape, and there's going to be a lot of things that will limit the leadership abilities of administrators in the educational system of public schools. So for example, teacher unions and support staff unions would tend to be a major force of resistance against educational leaders in public schools. In addition, if the leaders of a public school has made a decision on certain things that parents don't like, parental influence is actually minimal because the perspective is this, that public school educators are the experts in their fields. In the best case scenario, they might solicit the opinions of parents. In the worst case situation, they'll just do anything they want to, and parents' opinions would just kind of bounce off their ears. So an example that I have is an elementary school in my neighborhood, right? The school's principal decided to have the playground off limits, and the principal provided a variety of reasons such as safety, it's actually public space and not school property, there's not enough supervision, and some kids have gotten hurt on the playground and they don't want more kids to get hurt. A lot of parents spoke out against this. A lot of parents spoke to the principal one-on-one. A lot of parents did not like this decision because the playground is regarded as a place for students to run around and exercise and have a lot of fun. So for kids that would otherwise be swinging themselves on monkey bars would be relegated to walking around in the soccer field with no particular purpose in mind. However, the decision is final. The administrator decided upon that. And no matter what the parents say, as long as the educator decides on it, it's hard to turn that decision around. One way to turn this around is to bring the superintendent on the parent side, but that's going to be a lot of work because the superintendent is supervising a whole bunch of schools, a whole bunch of principals, and pretty much it's very difficult, huge, and bureaucratic. But basically, it is very difficult, it's a huge system, and there's a lot of bureaucracy involved, and parents just kind of have an opinion and they kind of have to hear your voice, but they don't really have to listen. On the other hand, in private schools, parents are actually important stakeholders. The students are the clients and the parents are the customers. And when a customer complains, the school has to listen. Pretty much because if the customer is unhappy, they'll pull the kid out and that's pretty much lost revenue. In addition, private schools are much more agile and nimble. They can make decisions quickly because there's far less bureaucracy. So in a typical private school, you might have a headmaster who is in charge of the whole school, and then each division, such as the secondary, the elementary, and the middle school divisions have their own principals, or the upper lower school, depending on however the school structures it. But pretty much there's far less bureaucracy involved, and the decision is generally kept within the school. However, the very reasons that allow private schools to be nimble and agile are also the reasons why they can be highly inconsistent. If there's a bad headmaster or principal in place, pretty much the division or the whole school will suffer from that poor leadership. And in my experience teaching in international schools, I've heard of many cases where there is a weak leader or a weak headmaster which led to a lot of instability within the school, leading to teachers leaving, leading to students having a poor experience, and leading to unsatisfied parents. So once again, the agility of a private school also contributes to the risk that it has in providing an inconsistent education. So these are all factors that need to be considered. Public schools, in comparison, are more consistent because it's highly regulated. So when it comes to making a decision on whether students should attend private schools or public schools, These are 5 very important variables: the resources, the educational philosophy, the educators involved, the student population, and the leadership, the governance of that school. And so these are things that need to be weighed out and carefully considered. I actually have a white paper where I have all the research laid out and I discuss in more detail each of these elements. So if you want to read up more about the comparisons between public and private education, go to my website and download the free white paper so that you can see the research right before your eyes and that you can make an informed decision. In addition, I also have a decision-making tool that allows people to conduct a force field analysis to weigh the pros and cons of public or private education and come to a decision on what fits their needs. So also, once again, go to the description below and download the free resource. And this concludes the mini-series comparing public and private education using Ontario as a case study. If you like this mini-series, click the subscribe button so that you get something similar in the future. Click the notification bell so that you get notified. And of course, like and comment below if you have any questions. Take care.